Hello, I'm Royalist, and I'll be hopefully starting a series on Clash Royale cards and their overall viability in the game, like in decks, ladder, and GCs. I'll be going over the game stats as well as the use rate and win rate of the card, then comparing it to other cards that are similar. Then at the end, I'll explain how to make the card work if you choose to use that card. In the first video of this series, I will be covering the mirror. So let's get to it. So first off, is Mirror a viable card? That has been a discussion that has been a very one-sided argument with a clear answer, no. It's not a viable card. So today I'm going to break down Mirror as a card statistically and from a gameplay perspective to explain why Mirror is a non-viable card more times than not. So first off, Mirror is a fundamentally unique card, as it doesn't actually have baseline stats, but replicates the card it mirrors at a +1 level of the mirror, which is about a 10% increase in stats for one more elixir than the original cost. So for example, if my mirror is level 11 and I mirror a Goblin Barrel, that Goblin Barrel will be a level 12, and instead of costing 3 elixir, it costs 4. So mainly, the card has been used to help with bait decks, as you can use a card like Goblin Barrel. Your opponent might use a Log, Zap, Bar Barrel, Snowball, whatever they have in the deck. Then you can do another Goblin Barrel that has more potential damage for one more elixir that your opponent might or not be able to counter, as they're either surprised or don't have the counters in hand to deal with the mirrored Goblin Barrel. It isn't just with the Goblin Barrel, however. There's a double spawner deck, which is on the screen now, that has had success in the past, but with previous changes, the deck has taken a step back. You also have the Jane the Arc deck, which has been modified, but has consistently had cards like Mirror, Goblin Barrel, Sparky, Giant Skeleton. They're probably the best Mirror player as well. And the deck they use definitely works by the amount of ladder success they've had. When you think about it, a card with high potential damage shouldn't be bad, right? Well, that's just not the case, because after the first time you use Mirror, they'll be prepared for a mirrored card again. So when you use Goblin Barrel, they're ready to counter it, and the mirror if you choose to use it, which gives you no value at times, and in my opinion, gives your opponent value sometimes for the following reasons. If you use both Goblin Barrel and Mirror, when your opponent goes to counter it, more times than not they'll be able to defend perfectly or take very little damage for less than 7 elixir. And after defending, they possibly have a counter push from defending that you now need to defend. They might also wait until they're at 10, they go on offense since they know you're down, or build up a push as you just committed 7 elixir to the tower. Those players sack the damage. They're usually beat down players, so that's the last thing you would want to happen, being down to elixir to beat down, that is, because you played an offensive mirror, because that's much less you have to defend now, because it's 7 elixir. You're down 7 elixir, that's a lot for a beatdown. It's not just Goblin Barrel mirror, however, it's mirror just in general. And I do personally feel like Mirror more times than not has this problem compared to another card. And then you get the defending, which is another thing, in my opinion, Mirror can struggle against, as it is a very offensive deck. Because if you have Mirror in your hand when you need to defend, there's a couple things that happen. One is now that the card takes up a slot in your hand, which leads to a worse defense, as you are needing to operate a defense with 3 cards in your hand at a time instead of 4. If you so choose to use Mirror on defense, you cannot use it for another 4 cards, which leads to delay in offense or an offense without the Mirror. Both cases makes it weaker because your opponent could pressure before you get to mirror again, and you're forced to use mirror on defense, forcing it back another 4 cards before in use again, or a weaker offense put that might lead to less damage. Now let's look at the use rate and win percentage of mirror. as you can see, the win percentage and use percentage are going to be trash as well. In the first screenshot, we have Mirror in Grand Challenges for the last 14 days of me taking the screenshot. It recorded a 1% usage and a 28% win percentage. This makes Mirror the third least used card in Grand Challenges, only ahead of Goblins and Barbarian Hut, then only ahead of Wizard when it comes to win rate of the card. So you can see it's being placed in Grand Challenges as a very bottom tier card. In the second screenshot, you can see Mirror rates in top 1k at 0% usage. People still use the card top 1k, but since the win percentage is probably like 0.4% or lower, it gets rounded down to 0. Then it also has a 41% win rate. Both of these are the lowest for top 1k ladder. Then in the third and final screenshot, you have Mirror's rate in all of ladder. 4% use rate, which makes it like 62nd in use rate. But then that 47% win rate is the fourth lowest, only ahead of Eagle, Giant, and Clone. At the time I took the pictures of the stats, like I said previously. The stats might be slightly different what I have because of what you're looking at when you're looking at the stats, but they should relatively stay the same if you're using 14 days. But as you can see, throughout all of ladder, it is a low use rate and a low win rate card, meaning people don't want to use it, and the people who do have very, very minimal success with the card. So to recap, Mirror is a card that thrives on surprise factor, catching your opponents off guard to get damage, but has severe weaknesses with the lack of output after the first use and making your defense and cycle worse off with it. There are cards that work with it, but more times than not, it's better to have another more versatile card over the Mirror. But I'm still going to try to explain and help on how you can use Mirror in the arena. So first off, don't always use Mirror right away. Try to figure out what the opponent has, and then punish accordingly to get the most out of the card, as after the first use, the value plummets. Second, use it to try to spread your opponent thin. Like if you Goblin Barrel one side, Mirror the Goblin Barrel the other side. That way they have to respond on both sides and creates a less possible counter push. Third, don't force yourself to keep it in your hand. I know I said to be patient, but if you need to use it on defense, do so. And if you use Mirror, make sure you have a deck that isn't relying on getting damage because of Mirror. That is an easy way not to create a good deck and lose games. Finally is practicing with the card. Learning the strengths and weaknesses specific to the deck you use it with, as interactions change with the card being a higher level. So use that to your advantage, as you will know those interactions better than your opponents if you have enough practice with the Mirror. So to wrap this up with the initial question, is Mirror a viable card or is it just trash? The answer is trash for most players, but if you put in the time and effort and create a deck that maximizes the strengths and minimizes the weaknesses of the Mirror, you can be a great player in Clash Royale. Jane d'Arc has proven that, as they can succeed with Mirror and get top ladder, like I said previously. Side note, this gameplay in the back is not something you should take completely seriously. I am not that good, plus it's a CC. But anyways, I hope this video was beneficial to you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Until next video.